Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And Sharon, congratulations. You made it through the manual in 2 different clubs, in 2 different states, 2 different times. And that's the hard part sometimes to do it. And we, of course, since we've only known Sharon for a few months, we don't have the advantage of knowing how she was when she first came into Toastmasters. So I asked her at the beginning of the meeting, and she said, well, basically she was really quiet. And I think she's overcome that part most certainly. Now, Julian earlier explained the purpose of the speech to inspire your audience. And basically, it is the culmination of everything you've learned so far in Toastmasters and inspire the audience to do or think something. And again, she did that today because Sharon has this insatiable desire to change the world. And she called her speech Change Gang. So that's immediately a play on words of chain gang. So it got our attention immediately, and she brought it back throughout speech. And as a result, we could relate probably better than maybe we otherwise would. If she called it something like being good in a bad world, we might not remember that. The Change Gang, you know, I'll remember that. Years from now, I'll remember the speech simply because of the title. And she challenged the audience right away by involving them. She went around the room. What's important to you? Raise your hand. Keep your hand up. So we had to listen. We didn't have any choice because we would stand out among everybody else. So Sharon used good techniques to get us involved right from the start and to keep us involved throughout the entire speech itself. Throughout the speech, she used groups of 3s many, many times. I lost track, and I couldn't write them down because she did them so effectively. She said, imagine, imagine, imagine. And she had 3 imagines. And every time she had something, every point she wanted to get across, she had a group of 3s. We remember in groups of 3s better than other numbers for whatever reason. So again, very effectively done in that regard, Sharon. Another thing you did that was quite good is that you gave us, since you weren't in the club earlier, you actually gave us a little bit of an icebreaker. Let me tell you where I'm coming from and a little bit about my background. Helped us learn about you, that things we never would have known otherwise. And so the fact that you brought this in, I thought was commendable. Kind of a mini icebreaker. I thought your gestures were good and appropriate, but I think you did a lot of times have this gesture, and you came out a lot this, and then you'd move back and forth, but you always ended up kind of in this position. So just something to be aware of. It was obvious after a while. Eye contact. You looked around the room. You caught everybody's eye. Again, I thought you did that well. We passed out a handout. And this is a good technique, but it's a double-edged sword. And the good part is that there's far more on here you can possibly cover in your speech. In fact, you started actually going down this list and either thought better of it or realized you had the handout and didn't really go through the whole list. It would take you twice as long to do that, and we'd all get lost. So it was effective to pass out a list like this. The other side of the sword is that people started reading it, and you were still doing your speech. And so it might have been better if you had passed it out at the end rather than at the beginning. And another thing you did that could have been put on the sheet, you mentioned your website, but I think if you had mentioned it at the end of the speech, because I don't remember what it was anymore, I guess I wrote it down, it was under the evaluator, but if you'd done it at the end, and even better, put it on the sheet, and when it got handed out, people would have that website. So and people will remember it more effectively that way. The one suggestion I have in general during your speech is that you need to slow down a little bit and pause. When you have something that you want people to digest, stop for a couple of seconds. Let them absorb. At one point you said something about, I forgot exactly what it was, but then you said, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, and then you went right back into the next thing. And you needed to pause at both of those, at both ends of that. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. Let it sink in. And again, you had a lot of chances to do this, but you didn't. And I was out of breath just listening to you in that regard. But all in all, did your message get through the audience? Absolutely it did. You were very effective. You involved the audience and did an excellent job with the speech. Congratulations to our newest competent communicator, Sharon.